Baldur's Gate 3 is a big game, and when I first looked at the trophy list, not knowing anything about it, it was really intimidating. But which trophies do the least amount of people have? That's what we're going to find out today. But first, some things to note. First, the percentage numbers may have changed slightly in the time between writing and posting of the video. Not much I can do about that, but I don't think it's going to drastically change the ordering at all. Second, as you can probably tell from the trophy phrasing, I will be using the PlayStation trophy numbers, though I can't imagine the other platforms are substantially different in this regard. Thirdly, beware spoilers. The game's been out for a while, so I'm not going to refrain from showing ending scenes, for example. I'm not going to give context, but I will show them on screen. Fourthly, for the most part I'm using the PSN percentage, but there are some cases where it's the same number as it only goes to one decimal place. So where that happens, I will defer to the PSN profile's track percentage to determine the order. Not a perfect system, but I think it works. Finally, if you disagree with any of these, you can log in and boost these numbers yourself. I had nothing to do with it. With that said though, let's get into this, starting with number 10. Absolute Power Corrupts, 4.2%. So, right off the bat, this is a trophy for one of the endings, so there's your spoiler warning. I am surprised though, as this is just the normal evil ending. Like, yes, I do get it, most people want to go for the good ending as it's the better one and also a lot more satisfying. I think we can agree on that, someone will argue, but I think it's definitely the more satisfying one. But you can just reload a save before the final choice to get both without needing to replay a lot of the game. The good ending is at 19.6%, just so you can see how big the discrepancy is between the two. I don't have a lot more to say on it. It's not locked off or anything, it is a single choice at the end of the game. There is one instance where you can't get this, but I will bring that up later where it will be relevant. Number 9. Leave No One Behind, 3.7%. This is probably the trophy that requires the most actual work throughout the game. For this, you need to keep every tiefling refugee alive throughout the game. Now, people have said certain ones count and don't count, and it's not super clear online, and I'm not going to go through all of that because you can find good guides online that are really concise and really good. But I will quickly note some things. First off, Defend the Grove. Now, when I went for this, there was some reports that it might have voided the trophy if you killed the goblin leaders and didn't trigger the battle, so I made sure to trigger the defense battle and made sure that no tieflings died against Minthara. There's also saving all the tieflings in Moonrise Tower in what is actually my least favourite quest in the game, just because of how often it broke when I was trying to do it. Like, the NPCs just stopped doing what they needed to progress the quest. But as well as big quests, there's also little things you need to do, like not letting the bugbear assassin kill one of them right after meeting the tieflings, and saving some small child from the harpies. As I said though, not going to go through everything, but this is through most of the game, or at least Act 1 and Act 2. I don't actually think there is anything in Act 3, which is good, as by that point you have other things to worry about. Number 8. Fancy Footwork, 2.7%. This one is for defeating Gortash without activating any traps. Now this one is actually quite a bit easier than what you might expect, provided that you have ranged attackers of course. First though, disable the Steel Watch at the Foundry. This will make your life a lot easier. After which you can scale the outside of the fortress to get to the room where you fight him, and this is where the not activating traps part comes in. Obviously, safety save before triggering the fight. That's a lesson for most of these trophies actually. The traps are all on the side of the walls, and what you really want to do is attack them from a distance, as they only activate if you get too close. The more you destroy, the easier you can move around the room, and if you're lucky, Gortash will actually come right to you. I do get why this one is rare though. Unless you're specifically going for it, a lot of people will just charge headfirst into danger. Once I actually got to it though, I think I got it like second try. Having never seen the fight beforehand, I think that's pretty good. Number 7. She Cannot Be Caged, 2.2% or 9.05% on PSN profiles. This one is kinda similar to the Tiefling one from earlier, but easier, as instead of making sure loads of characters survive, this time it's only one. Sazza is a little goblin who will die at 3 separate points if you don't intervene. The first is in the druid camp. You need to bust her out of jail and lead her through the cave in the back while her own people try and kill her, which is not cool. I think she has the right to be upset. Then at the goblin camp and also Moonrise, you basically have to talk down other characters from killing her. I can't even remember off the top of my head if you need to do any checks. It's been a while. Not sure how this is rarer than the Tiefling one. My working theory is that a good aligned person, which the majority would be playing the game, wouldn't break her out of jail, so wouldn't start this, while they would naturally save all the Tieflings, or at least would be more likely to. I could be wrong though. What do you think? Number 6. Sins of the Father, 2.2% or 6.7% on PSN profiles. The second ending trophy on the list, and it's for the other evil ending. Basically, this one needs you to do the exact same thing as the other ending for the final choice. However, there's some preamble you have to do first. You need to play as Dark Urge. This is one of 2 Dark Urge specific trophies. Second, you need to become the Slayer, either by killing Isabel in Act 2 or after killing Orin in Act 3. After that, you make the same choice as the previous evil ending and you'll get the same scene, but the Dark Urge will say Baal's name instead. Unless they updated it to add more to it, but when I did it, it was basically the same, which I was really disappointed by. Number 5. Critical Hit, 2.1%. This is a difficulty related trophy for beating the game on Tactician difficulty. I always struggle with these trophies when I'm talking about them because it's like, what do I talk about exactly? It's just the whole game again, but harder. Tactician was the hardest mode in the game at launch, so I personally was expecting it to be the rarest of the base game trophies, but not so. We're only halfway through the list after all. There are naturally some hard parts of the game, especially if you aren't super experimental, and hey, I'm with you there. Places like the end of Act 2, and honestly, there's a lot in Act 3 I found really challenging even on some of the easy difficulties, so amplify that up for a Tactician run. So yeah, Tactician is hard, but would you believe what's harder apparently? Well, it's number 4, Jack of all trades, 1.8%. This one is for having a level in every class for one character, so immediately you need to be level 12 because there's 12 classes, so endgame most likely. One thing to note though is that it can actually be any character, so you don't need to mess up your own builds for your main person or any of your party members you're actively using, and can just multi-class with a character you aren't using, or even just get a hireling from Withers, multi-class them every level, and then dismiss them. That's what I did. I think this one is so rare because by the time you get to level 12, most people are going to just want to get on with the end game. Combined with the fact that the description does not make it clear that you can do it with another character, and people don't want to redo their builds on their mains, I wouldn't want to do that either. Now that I've said that though, just log into an endgame character right now and do it. It'll take you maybe 5 minutes. Number 3. Punch Drunk, 1.5%. Now this is actually a fun one, I quite like this one. You need to defeat 20 enemies while drunk, which is a mechanic I'm pretty sure you can go the whole game without actively dealing with at any point. Now it's pretty self-explanatory, but I will say that despite the name having punch in it, you can defeat enemies with anything, not just your fists, which is something I forget an awful lot actually. The best place to get this trophy is the cellar under the inn in Baldur's Gate. There's a load of low HP rats down here, so you just get drunk, go down here, and unleash a fireball or something to blow them all up. Outside of this one area though, there's not really any good areas coming to mind, so I completely get why this is such a rare trophy. These guys don't respawn either, so really easy to miss if you don't know beforehand. Number 2. Busker, 1.3%. This is another one revolving around a mechanic that it is entirely possible a lot of people didn't use ever. For this you have to earn 100 gold playing music throughout the game. Basically, if you succeed a check while playing music, nearby NPCs will throw gold at you. What I did for this is to get a hireling to max level and just made sure to give them only what would make them better at playing music. And then went to the lower city because it has the largest amount of people close together, and I got this within a few minutes. I really like trophies like this because they encourage you to try out different parts of the game that you might not have seen on a normal playthrough, and I think that's neat. Number 1. Foehammer, 0.6%. So, this is for doing honor mode. You likely figured as much, but it doesn't make it any less deserving of the spot. Now, I know people have beaten honor mode in crazy ways nowadays, like with a cheese, or an underwear, or a hamster, and these are all mind-blowing to me. Crazy to see people have done that. But that's just the thing, right? Your average player isn't that in tune with everything in the game, and yes, will absolutely get overwhelmed. I would say I was pretty overwhelmed by all the choice, just on my normal first playthrough. Forget honor mode. I had to tunnel vision my way through it. For those unaware, the gimmick, I guess, with honor mode is that you can't save scum, and that if you die, you need to restart. Technically you can save scum, but you have to force close the program. It's a lot more of a hassle to do. Now, restarting after spending tens of hours in a long RPG does indeed sound like a nightmare, and that's what makes it rewarding. Now, for those that are fine using any method available, regardless of if it's honorable or not, pun very much intended, there are workarounds. For example, there is an exploit that basically makes the game think you're on honor mode, while actually playing on explorer settings based around deleting saves and reloading it from the Larian cloud. I'm not going to go in full detail here, as I don't really think I'll be able to explain it well, and honestly, I don't even know if it still works. There's a great post on PSN profiles though for those that are interested. Some people are probably going to be mad at me for mentioning that, like advocating for exploiting, but if I didn't mention it, other people would, okay? I'm just doing my due diligence here. Oh, and beating honor mode also stacks the tactician trophy, even if you do exploits, so that's that too. Always good when games stack. And that, though, is the list. Were you surprised about any of these placements? I know I certainly was. If you enjoyed the video, press like on it, and hey, while you're down there, why not subscribe? It's free and helps me out a ton and makes it so you never miss when I upload a video in your sub box. And you can easily go back and find my old videos. Wow. For now though, I'm off, hunt them trophs, and I'll see you next time.